In this video, we're going to show you how to replace the radiator and water pump in your CJ7. This should be the starting condition of your CJ7. Like all Jeeps, it's half apart, half together. Alright, let's get going. Here's another use for the automatic transmission cooler in a manual truck. What you do is add a couple of fittings to it and you can run your power steering fluid through there. It's especially useful in a Jeep when you don't have an auxiliary cooler. When you're putting in your brass fittings, make sure you got your torque wrench. Click. Here's the drain petcock Champion includes on their radiator. I cleaned it off a little bit, but you can see when the installer put the Teflon tape over it, he actually got some in there on the O-ring seal as well. I'm going to replace this with a plug, just because, you know, if you do need to drain this, it's about as easy to pull a plug as it is to pull this. Anyhow, just a little tip for you. You can see I've got the mechanical fan off. I'll go ahead and loosen the alternator to relieve tension on that belt. And I'll loosen the power steering pump to remove tension on that belt. Pull that pulley off, and then we'll yank the water pump. When you get the pump out, check to make sure the rotation's correct. There's a V-belt assembly, and there's also a serpentine belt assembly. I have the V-belt assembly, and so I'm just checking the orientation. As you can see, those vanes are paddling in the same direction. So I wanted to run a little bit bigger fan, so I needed to drop down the size on that fan spacer there. That's a 1/2 inch fan spacer from Durali. And then I actually put the radiator on the other side of the mount. So I put it on this side of the mount versus this side. And you know, that gives you another 1/4 inch. But as things sit now, there's about 1.25 inches between the front edge of the fan blade and the radiator. So that's good. That's the clearance I was looking for. But as you guys probably already know, these CJs are pretty tight. But that's how I got there. It's putting the radiator in front of the mount, you know, which is just flipping the speed nuts right and jamming it in there without breaking too much, and then dropping the size of this fan spacer. And the back side of the fan clears the York air compressor and the rest of the shit. And you know, worst case, we'll turn it on, a bunch of parts will go flying. All right, anyways, let's keep moving. All right, at this point, you should take a few minutes to pray to whatever deity you prefer. Let them know you appreciate all the help you got in putting this pile of garbage back together. And you can see, like I said, shorter fan spacer, enough clearance there between the fan and the shroud, and the fan and the radiator. Radiator's mounted in front of the grill, so not too bad. Gonna go ahead and move this filter over to the other side with a TJ intake tube, and put a little bit of heat insulation here on that connector down to the crank position sensor, and also going to go ahead and put a little bit of heat insulation down there on the fuel line. Keep the fuel from boiling on those hot trails, which is, if you're a CJ owner, you know that's a real thing. All right, thanks for tuning in. Hope you guys have a good weekend.